I was about to give birth, and then I realize my good-for-nothing man decides to cheat on me. And you know what his reason for cheating was? He says, well, you got pregnant and I wasn't ready for it. What do you mean? We literally discussed having a baby numerous times. This is coming out of the blue. And I really don't know what to do, but I'm gonna confront the girl that he's been talking with, and I'm gonna tell her everything. I can't think straight, my vision's blurry, and it feels like I'm on fire. For the past 2 days, I've been shedding bitter tears. My heart feels like it's going to shatter into a million pieces. The only thing preventing me from doing anything crazy right now is my baby. Yep, my unborn baby. Yep, you heard me correctly, I'm pregnant. 4 weeks. Pregnant, LOL. It's a painful laughter if you're wondering why I'm laughing always. Anyways, life is crazy, isn't it? Every wife dreams about her first pregnancy, and I'm no exception. But it seems I'm getting the opposite of what I've always wanted. The time when my husband should have loved me the most, he decided to be a devil. What kind of man goes to divorce his wife just because she's pregnant? He even dared to tell me to my face that he was leaving because he didn't want children. He says he hates children, and I can't believe Joe is the same guy I made plans with just a few years ago. We even planned names for our children, Star and Seven. So how dare he say he hates children? My whole life with this guy, it's been a lie. I feel exhausted, and I'm still receiving treatment at the hospital. The doctor says I have subchorionic bleeding, and I've been placed on bed rest. Yeah, it's Joe. Doesn't even care. I've only been taking naps with the help of sedatives, of course, because I've been struggling to go to sleep. I'm so glad that I'm finally feeling a lot better. So let me start from the beginning. I met Joe at a low emotional point in my life, when I had almost given up on love. I had vowed that I was going to just die single rather than give another man a chance to shatter my heart. You know, the way my childhood sweetheart Damien did. Damien and I dated for 8 years and started working towards settling down. Our wedding was 2 months away when he suddenly called off the engagement with a text message that turned out to be the coldest text message I have ever read. Well, I don't think we can be together anymore. That is literally all he wrote. No explanation, no apologies, no nothing. Just plain hurtful words. Guys, how in the world do you get over 8 years of beautiful, sad, sweet, and sour moments all at once? Just like that. After my breakup with Damien, he subjected me to further frustration. As if ditching me as he pleased wasn't enough, his supposed girlfriend showed up at my doorstep a few days later and almost uprooted my eyes from the sockets. She asked me about the ring that Damien gave me. This was supposed to be our wedding ring, and had been in my custody. It was a very expensive diamond ring. If Damien did not tell that little rascal lady about the ring, I don't know who did. When I would not budge, she shoved me aside and went to my bedroom. She practically raided my house and eventually sauntered out of my room with my wedding ring on her fingers. I'm livid. Recalling the incident just makes me so mad. It was during this phase of these crazy happenings that I met Joe at a concert I had attended in a bid to just clear my mind. Well, Joe and I started out as friends because we just clicked easily. He was very kind to me. My love for Joe started after I broke my knee. I was hospitalized. I had become unconscious after I tripped and fell from the stairs, and the next time I opened up my eyes, I was at the hospital with Joe beside me. He reminded me of how he decides to drive down to my apartment and found me on the floor. When I realized that he practically saved my life, I could not find the perfect words to describe my gratitude. Throughout my recovery period, Joe stood by my side. He moved into my house, cooked for me, did the dishes, and wheeled me around. With every little thing that he did, I fell in love with him. And so I did not mind that I was the one paying all the bills. After all, I am the wealthier one. 1 year later, I was ready to get out of my wheelchair, and my prognosis had not been so good. So I had a delayed healing process, but with rehabilitation, physical therapy, and Joe's emotional support, I defied the odds. The first time I took my first step, Joe was right here. He kept screaming and encouraging me, and when I did walk over to him, he brought me a ring. I didn't hesitate to say yes, and when he slipped the ring into my finger, I cried like a spoiled baby. Yeah, those were happy tears, but nothing at all could have prepared me for the disaster ahead. How could you have known that I had just said yes to pain, trauma bonding, gaslighting, immense regret, and an unexpected divorce? Oh, goodness. Please save me. Heal my heart. I'm hurting so much right now. You know, the first 2 years of our marriage were simply divine. I even wish I had gotten married earlier. I was living somewhat of a fairy tale. I know you think perfect men do not exist, but they do. Joe was perfect. At least perfect for 2 years. Before we got married, we had talked about how we would structure our lives. It was all love and light as we both made individual efforts to make our marriage work. But not long afterward, I started losing confidence that I had in my marriage. The first time I knew that my paradise was crumbling was when Joe started abusing me verbally. One day, he wanted us to go on a date after his closing hours, but I started feeling a little feverish towards the evening and did not feel on stepping out anymore. I forgot to let him know that I was no longer interested in going out. So, when he returned home, I tried to explain, but Joe flared up and reminded me how I always begged him to wheel me outdoors when I was crippled. He went on to say other hurtful and just straight unbelievable things. Although he apologized, I forgave him. Things changed in our marriage. As the months dragged by, Joe gradually went from being an understanding, caring husband to an absolute erratic one. I thought it was because I had not gotten pregnant. I just didn't know what to do anymore. I held on to the hope that once I got pregnant, we would go back to our fairy tale and, well, bask in it. It was also during this moody period that Joe began pressuring me to get him a car. Well, I did. I did it out of love because I thought that he genuinely cared. At least he made me feel loved at first. Well, good news came not long afterward. I found out that I was pregnant. The thought of carrying that child that determined our future, it was so exciting. What I expected to be the happiest news in our marriage turned out to be anger triggered for Joe. I'd already imagined his reaction, a cheerful smile and an uncontrollable laughter, but I got the shock of my life, as he irritably told me that he hoped I was joking. He said I was audacious enough to get pregnant and went on a storm out of the room. For the next few weeks, he said nothing to me and would not respond to any of my greetings. But guess what happened last night, guys? He asked me for a divorce. That's not even the most frustrating part. You won't believe he asked me to move out. He only started paying the rent a few months ago while I focused on our building a project. Yes, I'm building our dream home. My sweat and blood are going into all of this, and this is, well, the thanks that you get? No way. I'm not going to let some confused, selfish man treat me like a lowlife. The fact that he paid the last few months' rent does not give him the right to kick me out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm done being stupid. I'm done being used, and I'm done letting anyone treat me like trash, all in the name of love. And I'm going to take revenge for every single bit of pain that he's caused me, and there's nobody that can stop me. Comment number 1. Girl, wipe your precious tears. That man doesn't deserve even a droplet of your tears. You should have dumped him the moment he made fun of your past condition. He's shameless. And you should run from him already. Avoid this man at all costs, please. You sign all the signs in the world, but you are blinded by love, and yes, the truth hurts. But I have to tell you this, he only loves your money. Don't let that man be anywhere near your baby. Come on, when you finally give birth, dump him before he does something nasty to you and the baby. Marriage is not compulsory. If it's no longer working and is costing you your mental health, move on, girl. Update number 1. Hey guys, so it's been, I don't know, about a week since I've last posted. Well, Joe is mad with fury right now. I told you I was going to get revenge, right? Well, yeah, I saw to that. You see, a day before Joe stormed out of the house, I discovered something about him. He is a con man. Joe works as an HR manager. I overheard him on the phone threatening some candidates that he would drop them if they didn't pay the agreed amount. When I asked him what the heck that whole fuss was about, he snapped at me. Told me to stop snooping around. Well, look who's calling me now because I exposed him to his boss. He's been fired, sacked. Now, that's payback, right? But I'm so glad that he's being dealt with. He called my best friend Betty and threatened to drag me from her place to, quote, deal with me. He thinks that I'm with her. So what happened was that I moved out. Yeah, right. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I had no choice. Joe became frustrated with my presence, and he left first with a promise to be back a few days after my first post. One day, I realized that the water stopped running and I thought it was normal until the lights went off too. I went over to the neighbors and everything was fine. I immediately knew that that boy had a hand in this. So I texted him immediately and I got the most horrifying response ever. He reiterated that he meant it was, telling me to leave the house. He meant it. He didn't ask me to get pregnant, so I had to live with the consequences of my choice, and you know what? I think that sounds absolutely ridiculous. Well, I tried living in the house for one extra day, just to prove to him that I could survive absolutely anything. But that was the first time I would experience absolute discomfort like this. I was so hot. Because of the pregnancy, I could not stand the absolute stench that was coming from the bathroom since I couldn't flush. The dishes were looking like a mess, and for somebody who loves a clean space, it was not a space I could thrive in, that's for sure. I guess Joe knew my Achilles heel very, very well. Anyways, guys, I'm at my brother's house. Even though I didn't tell him the truth, how could I tell him? He doesn't like Joel one bit, so this will only make him gloat, and that's the last thing that I need. I only told him I wanted a new space since I got pregnant, and I don't know how long I can keep up with the lie. But I know that the battle is not over. Anyways, before leaving the house, I let Joe know that I would make him regret putting me through hell. I promise. Maybe sometimes it should not only be about letting go. It should be about getting vengeance, and I'm sure Betty must have been shocked when Joe harassed her. She doesn't know that there's trouble in paradise. Well, everyone thinks that I'm the devil, right? Maybe because I didn't tell them how much of a devil he is. And the truth right now is I don't care. Update number 2, a few weeks later. Well, I said I would get to the root of the problems, and I finally have. Dealing with Joe, the monster, has been quite the journey. For somebody who prides himself on being smart, he turned out to be the dumbest person I've ever encountered. Guys, the revelation of why Joe decided to divorce me came as such a relief, and as you might have guessed it, it's because he has a girlfriend. Yes, he was cheating the whole time. Discovering the truth initially left me feeling inadequate, but my brother was quick to remind me that I was not the problem, and yes, my brother is now fully in the loop about everything. There's no point in hiding anything from him anymore. You're probably wondering how I found out about Joe's little girlfriend. Though this exercise was stressful, I didn't mind the tension. It all started when I made a shocking discovery. Joe has an Instagram page. Well, this revelation caught me off guard since he's been one for social media, never. Or so I thought, until Instagram suggested his page to me just like that, which had a very different username and weird profile picture. Naturally, I would have skipped it, as I don't accept ghost profiles, but impulsively began to delve into his profile until I saw some compromising pictures. I meticulously examined the followers, and then there she was. The girl he had been frequently engaging with in the comment section. But the real bombshell came when I checked the girl's profile and found a photo of them together on a beach. "My ride or die," was the caption. "This man would do anything for me," is what she said. The post was made 8 months ago, precisely when Joe's behavior took a turn for the absolute worse. Suddenly, guys, everything just clicked into place. A woman had been the source of our marital woes all along. Joe broke those marital vows, and my mind flashed to how he promised to remain loyal, and I kept lavishing on him. It was all a facade to keep me spending. Without thinking twice, I reached out to the lady, letting her know that we were both sharing one man, and I was supposed to be his pregnant wife. I also sent her our wedding pictures. Well, you know what? That pretty much did the job. I mean, I'm not trying to be vain. I like to think that I'm more beautiful than his girlfriend, so I asked Joe why she chose her over me. I understand that Joe likes the good things in life, so if he would leave me for such a girl, then there must be something I was missing. Joe was unashamed to tell me that he left me for another woman because she was wealthier. Yeah, that's right, she has more money. Then it suddenly dawned on me that I married a gold digger. Everything started making sense. Constant monetary requests, always leaving the bills to me, and lying about not earning enough. It didn't even end there. Joe had the guts to call me crippled to my face. He even said he made the biggest mistake ever by marrying me. I was blinded by love, I guess, but it's not too late to retrace my steps. Less than 1 week after confronting the girlfriend, I received a pretty disturbing phone call from Joe. and it appeared there was trouble brewing in his little paradise. According to him, armed men stormed his girlfriend's house, stealing her valuables and issuing a threat. Well, I was absolutely puzzled as to why he was pointing accusatory fingers at me. While I had planned to confront him about his actions, I never intended to resort to anything illegal, obviously. I want to make it clear that I would never ever stoop to such a level. However, I can't deny a feeling of a sense of satisfaction knowing that he's not finding any peace right now. I don't know, perhaps I'll simply observe from the sidelines as the events start to unfold. I'll be back for an update very soon. Update number 3. You won't believe the drama llama I've been caught up in this past month. I was so immersed in drama I couldn't even give an update to you guys until now. Well, so things got worse when Joe suddenly accused me of being after his girlfriend's life. Yeah, that's right, her life, which, as I've said before, is something I would never do. Amid these accusations, my brother, who works as a private investigator, and I had a discussion and decided to look into Joe's girlfriend, suspecting she might be hiding something, and guess what? Our suspicions were spot on. It turns out that Joe's girlfriend, Leela, is married to a very wealthy man, but has been on the run after stealing a huge sum of money and properties from him. So, while Joe thought that he had found himself some wealthy chick, he ended up with somebody who was not only broke, but a much bigger crook than he could have ever imagined to be. It's quite ironic. I told Joe everything I had discovered, but he didn't believe me. So I decided to wait for time to teach him a bitter lesson, not knowing that he had a bigger plan. Well, Joe has overstepped in ways that I could never have imagined. I'm left with no choice but to show no mercy. While I was naively waiting for him to realize the grave mistake that he's made, he shockingly sought revenge. In an act of cowardice, knowing my brother was not home, and fully knowing that I was pregnant, he sent a dangerous group of men to my brother's house. The moment they pointed a gun at me, I experienced a level of helplessness and trauma I'd never known before. Not only did they threaten my life, but they also took everything I had bought for my unborn baby. Joe's deliberate disregard for my well-being and that of our child is unfathomable. Joe's planned attack and robbery of me, it brought out a side of me I never knew existed. While I'm not on to relish in revenge, sometimes I do believe it's necessary. So, since Joe thought it appropriate to give out my address, I decided to return the favor by giving his address to Leela's husband. I told him Joe was his estranged wife's boyfriend and she squandered his money. I provided proof, of course, and waited for what would become of them. As expected, Leela's husband wasted no time in sending some tough men, a group of guys, over to Joe's place, and they left him battered and bruised. He landed in the hospital. It's exactly what he deserves for everything that he put me through. You know, the latest event that saw me running to give an update was how Joe came crawling back, seeking my help. Yeah, Joe himself. He found himself in an even deeper predicament, all thanks to his deceitful girlfriend, Leela. When Leela's husband got on his heels, she realized she was no longer safe with Joe, and decided to flee, not without leaving him in shambles. She took everything, his car, his cash, his properties, leaving him drowning in debt. It looks like somebody got played. Now, Joe is close to roaming the streets for food, and now he's suddenly remembering me and wants my assistance. After betraying me and leaving me for what he thought were greener pastures, he dares to come back? Groveling? Well, he won't find any sympathy here. He doesn't deserve my help. And he certainly won't be getting it now, not ever. See ya. I might update again. Final update. Hey guys, so it's been a few months, and Joe must think that I'm some sort of a joke. What does he just take me for? Guys, he did not stop begging. After dismissing him the first time, he actually believed that after everything he's done, he can just stroll back into my life whenever it suits him best. I'm close to my due date now, and I don't need any stress at all. I've had enough to last me a lifetime, and guys, imagine that he has the nerve to suggest that he wants to be involved in the delivery of our kid. Well, that's simply not going to happen. I refuse to subject my child to the torment of having that monstrous man present at his birth. Not a chance. This chapter in my life is a fresh start, and I won't allow my past to tarnish it. Joe has no claim over my child, and I will not allow him anywhere near them. The audacity with which he has to even ask to be involved is beyond me. I was able to dismiss him and stop hearing from him for a while, only to discover that the worst had happened. See, Joe's unable to walk now. It's the price that he had to pay for what he did to me, I guess, but listen, if he only had stayed faithful to his vows, he would not be in this predicament, so after days of evading Leela's vengeful husband, Joe was finally caught up. In a corner, he got shot. That's right, he was shot in the legs, and instead of being rushed to the hospital, he was held in detention for like a week, enduring excruciating pain, and by the time he received medical attention, it was too late. His legs had become infected and required amputation. Joe lost everything due to his greed and infidelity. He's still in the hospital as we talk right now, and he doesn't know where he's going to go or come home to, and thankfully his friend has been sorting his bills, but who knows how long that'll last. Guys, Joe, he eventually got discharged without one of his legs, and I should not be happy about his misfortune, but sincerely, I don't care. Now, he has no place to stay. I wasn't surprised when I got his pitiable text begging for mercy. Joe's living in some sort of fantasy land if he thinks I'll allow him anywhere near me or our child. As far as I'm concerned, guys, he can sleep on the streets and beg. Isn't that all he's capable of now? Sadly, I doubt he possesses enough charm to deceive another woman ever again. Meanwhile, Leela's escape plan flopped when she attempted to flee to another country. She underestimated her husband's determination to find her. Now she's facing arrest, theft, swindling, and with Joe being just one of her victims, I hope she receives the punishment she deserves behind bars. As of now, Joe's been forced to return to his mom's house, relying on her pension for support. It seems karma has orchestrated the perfect plan, and I could not be happier. So, in contrast, my life with my son is fulfilling and peaceful, despite the heartbreak and betrayal. I'm grateful to have a family that stood by me through all of it, and things are finally starting to fall in place. Thank you for being there for me.